Channel Sports Central, be going over our next final prediction of this offseason, and it's going to be over the Purdue Boilermakers. And this is a team that was 4-8 last season, ended up having a down season, and they were a couple of games away from making it to a bowl game. But how will Purdue be in 2020 is what we're going over here today. We're also going to be going over your returning production along with a full prediction and preview on every game on the Boilermakers schedule going into the 2020 season. So that being said, let's look at your season trends from 2019 for this team. Once again, bit of a down year. They were 2-6 between September and October, then 2-2 between November and the postseason. So, all around Purdue, I think last season they'd had plenty of talent on their team. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, if you look at their quarterback situation, they had a couple of pretty good quarterbacks in there. They did not have a specific quarterback to go with, so that was a bit of an issue there. But of course, if you look at this receiving core, all around, this team definitely had the potential to have a great offense last season, and it just did not come through for Purdue. And I think this is a team in general that honestly has the potential in 2020 to surprise a lot of people. And I think in general, you'll be able to see that quite a bit next season. But the only problem is for Purdue, and the only thing that's blocking their way to making it to a bowl game in 2020 is the fact that they don't have their non-conference games. If Purdue had their non-conference games this season, this could easily be a 7-win team, I think. Possibly even an 8-win team. I'm not even lying there. I think this is a team that has got the potential and the talent to put up a great season. It just did not happen in 2019, and the deal was with those games was because they just were not able to pull out the wins in the end. This team had a lot of close games last season. They played a lot of really tough opponents pretty close, and that's kind of the reason why Purdue, they were 4-8, but I definitely think this is a much better than a 4-8 team last season. Like, this could have easily been a bowl team, and it sounds crazy, but that's just kind of how I'm thinking here. And especially looking at the stats of these players, all around, this is a much better team than what the record shows, I think, last season. Some of your key wins from last year, I'd say their best win was probably against Nebraska on November 2nd. They beat them 31-27 at home, but they also had a blowout win to Maryland, 40-14, and they also knocked off Northwestern 24-22. So with that, let's look at returning production now. They returned their 2019 top quarterback, Jack Plummer, and it looks like he will be your starting quarterback for next season. And of course, last season, if you look at their quarterback situation, Jack Plummer and Aiden O'Connell, they split time. And of course, if you look at Jack Plummer last season, he put up 1,600 yards, 11 touchdowns, 8 interceptions as well. So he was probably the best quarterback for this team last season. But if you look at Aiden O'Connell as well, he did not have all that bad of a season with 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. He also had a better completion percentage in comparison to Jack Plummer, as he had nearly a 63% completion rate, while Jack Plummer had a 60%. So, then again, Jack Plummer did throw more times, like 80 more times than Aiden O'Connell did. But still, looking at that, it's just kind of an interesting situation there. They do lose their third quarterback in Elijah Sindelar, and he also had some action last season, putting up nearly 1,000 yards with 9 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And all around, the quarterback situation was just really weird for Purdue last season, having 3 quarterbacks in their splitting time. So in the end, it's going to be interesting to see how they go about that for 2020. But as far as the running back situation goes, they returned their top one, and of course last season he had nearly 600 yards, 7 touchdowns, and they also returned their second one in Horvath. And last season he had 519 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Alexander Horvath definitely was a running back last season that I think easily could have been a much better running back. And if you look at the running back situation in general, both of those running backs combined for just over 1,100 yards. So in the end, I definitely think, the running back situation is looking very good for Purdue going into next season. And as far as the receiving core looks, it also looks very good. You can't forget about Rondale Moore. And of course, he did not play much last season because of the fact that he was injured, and that really was a big impact for him. Obviously, he took a major injury there, and that kind of knocked him out for the entire 2019 season. But in the end, if he's able to be healthy and if he's able to play as if he did in 2018, I definitely think he's a receiver to watch out for. And obviously, there's a lot of speculation around him as far as being an NFL receiver goes. I've heard a lot of great things about him in the past, so watch out for that. They also returned their top receiver from last season in David Bell. He had over 1,000 yards with 8 touchdowns last season, so watch out for him. But they do lose their top tight end in Bryson Hopkins, and looking at him last season, he put up over 830 yards with 7 touchdowns for Purdue. And looking back at Rondale Moore, he had 390 yards last season, but obviously, once again, he was knocked out for quite a while of last season due to an injury, so you can't forget about that. But they also lose their one offensive lineman. They also lose one linebacker, one in the secondary. However, they return their entire defensive line. So this defense is looking very good. And what I'm saying here, like, look at this returning production. Purdue is a team that I think in general could be a potential dark horse contender for next season. It's just the fact, once again, if you look at their schedule's very tough, which kind of concerns me. But also, if they had those non-conference games, I mean, Purdue, once again, easy 6-7 win team for next season, and I could easily have seen Purdue making it to a bowl game, even in the 2019 season. I think this was a potential bowl team. I mean, looking at the talent on this team, they had the potential to make it to a bowl game. Just some of the games did not go their way in the end. But could Purdue be good? I mean, this team could easily be good in my opinion. I mean, they should easily be a bowl team if we were looking at a normal season, but that's just not the fact. Right now, we're looking at a much different college football season up ahead for 2020. So, I mean, in the end, it's much different than any other situation, but for Purdue, this is definitely a team that's got the talent to put up a big season. Looking at your schedule now, you start off the season on September 5th, but I bet it won't be September 5th at this point. But it's going to be at Nebraska, so that will probably be your week 1 game. And then you got Rutgers on the 10th, followed by Illinois and Michigan in your October, and then you finish off October with Northwestern at home. Then you got Minnesota to kick off your November, followed by Wisconsin, Iowa, and Indiana. So in the end, I think this is a very tough schedule. You got to play Minnesota on the road, you got to play Wisconsin, Iowa, and then Indiana on the road as well. Can't forget about that Michigan game on the road too. I mean, Illinois could be good next season. Same thing with Northwestern, Nebraska. I mean, every single game except for Rutgers on this schedule is going to be very difficult for Purdue next season. It just goes back to the schedule difficulty for Purdue next season. It's just going to be very tough. And I mean, even their non-conference schedule is pretty tough. You had to play Memphis, and of course, last season I think they were the American Athletic Champions. And you also got to play Air Force, who last season was easily one of the best teams in the Mountain West. And then Boston College, of course, being a Power 5 team. So, I mean, in the end, I kind of recall my statement earlier about their schedule potentially being a 6-7 win season if they had any normal season, of course, and being able to play their non-conference games, because that is a pretty tough non-conference schedule. But, I mean, in the end, for Purdue, looking at this schedule, I mean, this is a team that's got a lot of talent. I just don't think that they've got the talent to be able to knock off teams like Michigan on the road, or Nebraska on the road, or Minnesota on the road. I just don't really see that happening next season. And so now let's get into your schedule predictions. I think you'll lose to Nebraska in your first game of the season on the road. I think that one could be close, though, easily. Once again, with Purdue's talent, I think they'll give Nebraska a good fight in that one, but Nebraska will get the win in the end. I think you'll get an easy win over Rutgers on October 10th. So that one should be your first win of the season. Same thing with Illinois. I think you get a win there, and that's going to be a big win. Illinois next season is kind of in the same boat as Purdue in the fact that if they had their non-conference games, they could easily be a bowl team next season. They've got the talent to be able to do that, but just probably won't happen for next season. But yeah, you'll start off your season 2-1 overall, not looking all that bad. However, I think things get pretty tough once you get to the later parts of October when you got to play Michigan on the road. I think you'll take a loss there. However, I do think you get a big win over Northwestern on the 31st. And Northwestern next season, they should easily be one of the better teams in the Big Ten West, I think. I mean, looking at last season, they were 3-9, absolutely horrible team. But if you look back at 2018, I mean, that team, they won the Big Ten West. And so I'm not saying that they will win the Big Ten West in 2020, but I mean, Northwestern is a team to watch out for, and the fact that they easily have the potential to put up a big season for sure. And I think the returning production that they do have looks pretty good going into 2020. However, I do think you take a loss at Minnesota in TCF Bank Stadium. I think you take a loss there. Minnesota next season is looking very, very good, and they're probably honestly my early favorite to win that Big Ten West. I mean, they've got a lot of talent there with Tanner Morgan. They're looking very good going into 2020. So anyway, with your last 3 games on the schedule, you're going to be 3-3 heading into your later November. And here's what I'm expecting here. I do think you take 3 losses to finish off your season against Wisconsin, Iowa, and Indiana. I just don't think that Purdue has got the talent to knock off any of those teams, especially going into next season. I mean, Wisconsin's looking very good. They could easily win that Big Ten West. Same thing with Iowa. Watch out for Iowa next season as well. So I think they get the win, or Iowa gets the win over Purdue there. I think Indiana, that one could be a close one, but with Indiana, with that game being on the road in Indiana, I think the Hoosiers do get the win there over Purdue in the end. But anyway, your record prediction for next season is going to be 3-6. And looking back at your non-conference games, I mean, if you were to get 3 wins there, Purdue would be a bowl team next season at 6-6, but that's just not the fact right now. And the fact is, you're not going to have non-conference games for next season. And so 3-6 is going to be your record prediction for next year. And I know it doesn't look very good as a record, and I understand that fully, but it's just the fact, once again, looking back at those non-conference games, it's pretty tough for most teams to lose them. But in the end, do let me know your thoughts in the comments below on Purdue. Let me know whether you disagree with anything here. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. But then again, thanks again for watching. And just a quick update as well on our college football predictions. And of course, if you're just a Purdue fan watching this and you don't have any interest in watching any other videos on this channel, which is totally understandable. I mean, I understand that. But yeah, for you guys that are real viewers of this channel, and if you regularly watch these videos, just a quick update on your college football simulations, or not simulations, your predictions is what I mean. We will be delaying our college football predictions starting today. This is our final college football prediction in the near future. And of course, with everything going on, with the ACC now going to a conference-only schedule, it just really messes things up, and everything is so unpredictable right now. And so with that, and also considering the Big Ten as well, you can't forget about the Big Ten and how I know that they've already mocked off their non-conference games, but there is a possibility that they may add a 10th game. So everything is just so unpredictable right now. And I think, I mean, there is a very good chance that this prediction here within 3 weeks could easily be void. So I think we're going to back off on our college football predictions for now. And I think we'll be focusing on our NFL predictions for the near future. I think we're going to go through all the NFL teams. And I mean, we've gone through about 14, I believe, right now. So we still have a good 18 NFL teams to go through. And so we will be doing that before proceeding with any more college football predictions. And of course, I already mentioned this earlier in one of the simulations, and that we're going to be kind of delaying our college football predictions. And I mean, obviously it's pretty reasonable considering the circumstances and everything is so unpredictable right now. But yeah, I just want you guys all to know that, and just to know in advance that we will be delaying any predictions for college football for the near future. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But then again, thanks again for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Thanks again for all the support, and I'll see you all later.